Have you ever heard the saying, haste makes waste? It's an old one, but it holds so much truth. Especially in a world that's always telling us to go faster, do more, and get results. Today, I want to share a story with you. A simple tale from a small village about two friends, Juma and Bahati. Their story is a powerful reminder of why sometimes the slowest path is the smartest one. Juma and Bahati were inseparable, like two peas in a pod. They grew up together, shared all their secrets, and when it came time to start their own lives, they both decided to become farmers, just like their parents before them. They were given two identical plots of land, side by side, fertile and ready for planting. The village elder, a wise old woman with eyes that had seen many seasons, gave them both a small bag of special corn seeds. "These seeds are a gift," she told them. "Treat them well, and they will provide for you. But remember, nature has its own rhythm. You cannot rush the sun or the rain." Juma, whose name meant born on Friday, was full of energy and ambition. He was eager to prove himself, to have the biggest and best harvest the village had ever seen. He heard the elder's words, but in his heart he thought, "Rhythm. I'll create my own rhythm, a faster one." Bahati, whose name meant luck, was more thoughtful and observant. He listened intently to the elder, nodding slowly. He believed in the wisdom of those who came before him and respected the natural world. He decided he would follow the traditional ways, the ones that had fed his village for generations. The very next morning, Juma was up before the sun. He didn't just till his land, he attacked it, turning the soil over and over with a frantic energy. He dumped his entire bag of seeds into the furrows, not bothering to space them out properly. More seeds mean more corn, he declared to a passing neighbor. He then diverted a small stream to flood his field, thinking more water means faster growth. He worked day and night, barely stopping to eat or rest, driven by his desire for a quick and massive harvest. Meanwhile, Bahati started his work calmly. He spent the first day carefully preparing his soil, removing rocks and weeds, making sure it was just right. He remembered his grandfather's advice. The seed needs a gentle bed, not a battlefield. On the second day, he meticulously planted his seeds, giving each one enough space to grow, to breathe, and to reach for the sun. He knew that overcrowding would just make the plants compete with each other, and none of them would thrive. He didn't flood his field. Instead, he watered his seeds gently each morning, giving them just enough to drink without drowning their delicate roots. Weeks passed. On Juma's plot, a thick jungle of green shoots erupted from the ground. They shot up quickly, and Juma was ecstatic. He ran through the village, boasting, "Look at my field. I'll be harvesting in half the time." Bahati is falling so far behind with his slow old methods. The villagers looked at the dense, tangled stalks in Juma's field, and then at the neat, orderly rows in Bahati's, where the plants were smaller but looked sturdy and healthy. Some were impressed by Juma's speed, while others, the older farmers, just shook their heads quietly. Bahati wasn't discouraged. He continued his patient routine. He'd wake up, tend to his plants, pull out any new weeds by hand, and check the soil's moisture. He talked to his plants, a habit he'd picked up from his grandmother, who believed that all living things responded to care and attention. He watched for pests and protected his young corn from hungry birds. His work was a slow, deliberate dance with nature. Then the hot, dry season began. The sun beat down relentlessly. In Juma's field, disaster struck. The overcrowded plants, with their shallow roots all competing for the same water, began to wither. Their stalks were thin and weak from shooting up too fast. They couldn't support themselves, and many flopped over onto the dry, cracked earth. The sheer number of plants had exhausted the soil's nutrients. The flood of water he had given them at the beginning had washed away much of the good topsoil, leaving the roots exposed and vulnerable. Juma was in a panic. He tried to give them more water, but it was too late. The damage was done. His field of dreams was turning into a brown, dying mess. Over on Bahati's side of the fence, a different story was unfolding. His corn stalks were thick and strong. Because he had spaced them properly, their roots had grown deep into the earth, able to find moisture even when the surface was dry. The well-nourished soil provided everything they needed. The plants stood tall and green, their leaves broad and healthy. Soon, small, promising cobs began to form, protected by layers of green husk. Bahati's patience was paying off. His field was a picture of health and promise. The day of the harvest finally arrived. Juma walked through his field with a heavy heart. He was able to gather only a handful of small, shriveled cobs of corn. His dream of a bumper crop, of proving how fast and smart he was, had crumbled into dust. He had worked so hard, with so much energy, but his haste had led to ruin. That same day, Bahati and his family harvested their corn. Their baskets overflowed with large golden cobs. The yield was abundant, more than enough to feed his family for the year, and plenty left over to sell at the market. His patient, steady work had resulted in a spectacular success. Seeing Bahati's success and his own failure, Juma felt ashamed. He approached his friend, his head bowed. "Bahati," he said, his voice quiet, "I was a fool. I thought I could outsmart nature. I thought being fast was the same as being good. You were right to be patient. You were right to listen to the elder." Bahati put a comforting hand on his friend's shoulder. He wasn't there to gloat. He was there to be a friend. "Juma," he replied gently, "we all learn. I just chose to learn from the wisdom of others, while you learned from your own experience. The important thing is that we have learned. Nature has its own time. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. It needs time to set its roots, to grow strong against the wind and the sun. It's the same with our goals and our dreams." He then did something that surprised Juma. He handed him a large basket filled with his own harvested corn. "A friend does not let a friend go hungry," Bahati said with a warm smile. "Next season, we will work our fields together. I will show you the rhythm of the land, and you can share your amazing energy. Together, we will have the best harvest the village has ever seen." Juma's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness this time, but of gratitude. He had lost his crop, but he had gained something far more valuable, a lesson in patience and a deeper appreciation for his friendship. From that day on, the two friends farmed side by side, combining Juma's energy with Bahati's patience. Juma learned to channel his ambition into careful, consistent work. And Bahati learned that a little bit of Juma's drive could make the work even more joyful. Their fields became the most productive in the village. A testament to the power of balance, the balance between effort and patience, between ambition and wisdom. The story of Juma and Bahati became a lesson for everyone in the village, passed down from parents to children. It's a story that reminds us that true, lasting success isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. It's about planting good seeds, not just in the ground, but in our lives, seeds of hard work, patience, and learning. It's about nurturing them with consistent effort and trusting the process. Rushing often leads to shallow roots, making us vulnerable when challenges arise. But when we build a strong foundation, step by step, we can weather any storm and eventually reap a bountiful harvest. So, whatever you're working on right now, new skill, a business, a relationship, or a personal goal, remember Juma and Bahati. Are you rushing, hoping for instant results? Or are you patiently building something strong and sustainable? The fastest way isn't always the best way. True growth takes time. Thanks so much for watching and sharing this story with me today. If this message resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe for more stories and insights. Until next time, be patient, be persistent, and keep planting those good seeds.